Hello, good evening and a very warm welcome to the Hot Seat. In the Hot Seat tonight is somebody who is should be very much listened to, especially in these moments of crises when once again Sri Lanka has been affected by flooding and so on. And so with little to do, it's appropriate that we introduce to you our guest today, Mr. Ravindranath Dabre, who's actually the chairman of the Centre for Environmental Justice, and he's a practicing legal man too. So very good evening to you, Mr. Dabre, and welcome to the Hot Seat. Thank you very much for being for agreeing to come here. Let's get straight to the point. Every year almost we are affected by flooding, and okay, we've now got disaster relief and management teams that out of experience have now learned how to deploy and get activated very soon, and so on and so forth. But that's only after the event. But what's happened to why is it flooding the whole time? Is that an easy question, or is it complicated to answer?
Question is complicated, but we have to find answers to this, because this is very vital question, because providing relief after the floods is not the major thing that we should be aimed at, or we should concentrate on. Actually, prevention of such occurrences is the area we should focus mainly on, and actually there are a number of measures to be taken by the authorities and the general public also. The main reason for the floods or the landslides are the human activities done without considering the requirements of the nature, or sometimes even for examples, or for instance, some areas when the storm water is collected, there are normal slopes and normal natural methods of reaching it to the sea, but human activities has blocked them and altered the natural paths, so that there is no other way the water can reach the sea, and the floods are the imminent result of it.
We have some images which we will show the public. These are taken from Google Earth. Now, when we look at the Kaluganga, for example, as you follow the progress starting from Colombo and go upwards, you can see very clearly that there are various sort of infringements on the size of the river, and there are points where the river narrows, and then there are other interesting bits that can be detected. There is people seem to have, in some places, they seem to have disregarded the reservation orders and encroached on there and built whatever it is that they've built, homes, businesses, whatever. And at the same time, we see that there's a lot of debris that's been collected. Then we see that the banks, the river banks, have collapsed in some places, and so on. And therefore, when you look at all these things, it appears to me that there is no management of rivers, but there is mismanagement, and that is part of the reason why we are experiencing floods. Am I about right when I say
yes,
that?
you are correct, quite correct. Actually, there are a number of laws and number of authorities, number of departments to look into these affairs, but they have failed in their duty. Especially now, if you take a river, the irrigation department is there to actually to take the necessary measures to protect the river banks and the river reservations, and the divisional secretariat officers and the officials attached to it, and even the, if you say the Western Province, under the Land Reclamation Act, there is the Western Province, there is a land reclamation area is declared. Actually, it's a very wide area from Mahaway to Bentota. And from other side it reaches Ratnapura, and the other side it reaches the boundary is the sea. In that the whole area, and there are river reservations and the watercourse reservations according to the width declared according to the width of that watercourse.
Right.
Some river, when it's more than 50 meters, the river reservation exceeds to 60 meters.
Okay.
That means from the bank of the river, more than 180 to nearly 200 feet should be the reservation. But no one has taken cognizance of it. No one has taken steps to
and no government authority has taken steps to
implement these regulations.
So those are the sad facts
Yes.
That befall and face us. But whose responsibility is the river management? Who's responsible?
River management, of course, there are a number of state authorities, but we can't blame only the state authorities. Even the human beings and all of us should understand we should not alter the nature. If because nature is also having similar rights as we all are. We are there to live with the nature and not to alter the nature and not to consume the
nature. Has its rights too.
Nature has its plans. Nature has its special designs. So if we are to alter these things, we have to face repercussions. Now,
so we must leave. Some things are not worth altering.
Yes.
We must leave them in place. But implement.
Yes, we have to live with the nature, but there are certain authorities to establish to protect the nature. Actually, now, such as National Environment Authority, Land Reclamation and Development Corporation, and the relevant municipal authorities and the Pradeshiya Sabhas and village councils and all these local bodies. They all are authorized to protect the river banks. Even the Urban Development Authority, any illegal construction on the river banks or on the reservations, all these authorities can take cognizance of this and
they can take action.
They can take action against,
because the law provides for it.
Yes,
so we have enough of laws.
Enough of laws.
The only thing that's lacking is the commitment to,
and they are not monitoring the activities, and some authorities are helping the wrong
inadvertently or by design.
Maybe sometimes, due to corruption or.
So there's some collateral purpose that they're doing this.
Maybe even sometimes I have even come across places where some officer goes and when the permit for the filling is to be obtained, some officer goes there and recommend that this area should not be filled. But the same authority, subsequently another officer goes and say, this is there is no harm of filling this area from the same authority. How this could happen?
So that's where the mismatch is.
Yes.
Right. And then it fuels the black economy as well.
Yes.
Right. Now then, how would you rate the disaster relief people, the disaster management centers?
Actually, for the disaster management, we have another act known as the Disaster Management Act. This was implemented or came into operation from 2005. We have to establish a disaster management council headed by His Excellency the President, including the Prime Minister and including chief ministers from all areas and all officials from all key ministries and the department. And even there are provisions to establish district level disaster management centers. And they have to prepare a national plan and the district level plans also, how to minimize and how to prevent the disasters, and especially how to supply the relief services or assistances in case of the disaster. Now the relief services are going on. We have to thank all these officers and dedicated officers for their activities, but the main task of all of us, and the whole authorities should be minimized and the prevention of such disasters, and not the supplying necessities after occurring such disaster.
Right. And clearly, do you think that the government have the necessary resources to do effective river management?
The government, of course, sometimes maybe the the government and the officials and the authorities, they may lack sometimes human resources also for the monitoring of human activities close to the river banks or the water courses. That problem also might be there. That's why I say only the authorities can't take cognizance or take minimize these type of occurrences or disasters. We as human beings also should be aware that it is our duty
as well.
On
that note, it's time to take a short break. Don't go away. After all, this is the Hot Seat. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Hot Seat, and in the Hot Seat tonight is Mr. Ravindranath Dabare, who is the chairman of the Centre for Environmental Justice. He's a lawyer, and he's often referred to as an environmental lawyer. And he's right here with us. Now then, thank you again for being on in the Hot Seat. I want to ask you this. We've spoken about the river management, and also very critically we need to address and make sure the authorities need to do that, and that is to ensure that the river mouth, where the water will finally leave and go into the ocean, we need to make sure that that is in optimum condition, and according to the water levels and so on, the rivers should be dredged, it should be dug further and so on, depending on the anticipated level. Do you think these things happen?
No, actually not up to the standard, because these things, if these things are properly taken place or properly done by the authorities, this type of disaster would never happen. Because there are a number of rivers which takes the storm water to the sea are blocked, even in the metropolitan area, even in the city limits. They are blocked, and even under the some of the main places where the water reached, where the water is sent to the sea, are blocked in Colombo Municipal Council areas also. I am witnessing sometimes some of these areas daily when I am reaching the courts, because when after the flooding they start cleaning these places. That is useless.
Right.
And that is more.
We need to be proactive, not reactive.
Now, for example, even during the British period, there were two places close to St. Sebastian Canal and the Motuol. There were two pump houses. When the Canal River is flooded, the water is collected, or water flows to St. Sebastian Canal and Motuol Canal, and they had built very sophisticated pump houses to pump the additional water into the sea.
Oh, I see.
Even the present authorities have not taken care of even maintaining this.
Even what they've inherited.
They have not maintained, and most of these, I personally know, even today I saw that particular pump house close to the St. Sebastian Canal is not in operation, not working.
And that's a real shame, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a
those people built it, we can't even maintain it.
Right, we can't even maintain it, and that's the key words here. We can't even do something so simple. But if we look at the laws, the laws seem to have enough things in place. There's a memo which will appear on our screen, which is from the Presidential Secretariat, and the President is very clearly asking that low-lying areas not be filled.
Yes, actually, yes, a very good thing. Actually, even in 2016, His Excellency the President, Honorable Maithripala Sirisena, issued a circular not to fill lowlands and the marshy lands in the western province under any circumstance. But I personally know, even after issuance of this circular, not a lesser person other than His Excellency, even the authorities have not taken cognizance of this letter, this circular.
So they've just ignored him.
Ignored him. And now I know even I am appearing in number of cases where landfills are going on in low stormwater retention areas. Even after issuance of this particular circular, then I don't know what these authorities are doing. Sometimes with the connivance of some developers, they are taking they are acting to assist the developers and the businessmen to develop areas declared as stormwater retention areas, because stormwater retention areas are not to be developed. They have to be preserved as
they are there for a very specific reason.
When the now, for example, when the Kallan River is flooded, the additional water is collected in the stormwater retention areas until until the river is settled.
Right.
If there is no place to get water collected, then that water is also added to the flood.
And where are these places?
Yeah, actually these places are very clearly designed in a report prepared by the JICA. And
this is the one that we have of our other image that comes up on your screen, which is the study on stormwater drainage plan for the Colombo metropolitan region in Sri Lanka, and it's been funded by the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, and done in conjunction with the Ministry of Housing and Plantation Infrastructure and Sri Lanka Land Reclamation and Development Corporation. Well, we seem to have the rules.
Yeah, we have actually wasted our time of experts, of money, and prepared very realistic plans. And all these plans are not even to be seen nowadays.
They're just sort of largely forgotten.
Yeah, largely forgotten. I don't know, they have thrown them out. Some recent court cases, until such time I produce them in the courts, even the authorities are unaware of it. We have to be shamed actually as a nation for such crimes, because you all know that when an area is flooded, the wealth that is wasted, the value of the wealth that is wasted even run into billions sometimes. I don't know why these authorities are helping these few people to damage the stormwater retention areas and fill them. And actually the report suggests we have to increase the number of water retention areas and the number of hectares actually declared areas to be declared as water retention areas according to the JICA report.
And then these infringements and this sort of looking the other side and helping their friends and allies and whoever they are to carry on in this way is actually tantamount to corruption and criminality, because it is affecting our entire country.
Corruption under the criminal law, and corruption against the mankind, corruption against the nature.
So it's corruption on all sides.
Yes.
And that saying is quite true, isn't it? Sometimes it's what you don't do that's more damaging, because obviously our legislators and officials who are supposed to act in the best interest of the public have largely forgotten that role.
Yes, they also should take in mind that all these authorities, including the President, Cabinet and other authorities, they are only the trustees of the nature and the natural resources. They are not the owners of the natural resources. They can't act like owners of the natural resources and allow others to destroy the natural resources. They are only trustees, and they must preserve them for the future generation.
You've said an absolute mouthful there. That's absolutely true. That these people have forgotten that they are merely the trustees of our national assets and our plans and so on. And on that note, we'll take another break. And don't go away. After all, this is the Hot Seat. And welcome back to the Hot Seat. In the Hot Seat today is Mr. Rabindranath Dabare, who's the chairman of the Center for Environmental Justice, and an environmental lawyer, Mr. Dabare, you're fondly referred to as. And so let me ask you a legal question from a perspective of a member of the public. What can the member of the public do when you see that these public officials are neglecting their duties as envisaged in various rules and regulations and the law? What can we do?
Yeah, actually, when the public officials and the public authorities are failing in their duties, there is a remedy in the known as writ jurisdiction exercised through the Provincial High Court or the Court of Appeal.
Right.
That is one option. Or otherwise, if the government officials are aiding and abetting this type of illegal activities which destroy the nature, then they can complain to the Bribery and Corruption Commission under the corruption.
I see.
Because under the aiding and abetting to get another person to undue gain is a corruption under the law of corruption. Therefore, the public even can complain to the Bribery and Corruption Commission, so that if the government officials and the authorities are aware that people are going to keep on complaining, then they will be beware of helping the authorities.
Indeed.
And even to be frank, being a lawyer, sometimes I must say sometimes the government authorities are represented in the court cases by the Attorney General Department. Some of the Attorney General Department also coming and trying to cover up the illegal activities of the government officials. Even our court system also should be more vigilant and should think twice before taking cognizance into natural matters relating to the nature, because the nature, when it start exercising its discretion, the court, even court issues injunctions or enjoining orders, none of these floods or landslides are not going to stop.
Right. So really we must be more focused on doing all the right things, and that will at least mitigate to some extent these floods. Obviously we can't control the amount of rain that falls and so on, but we can have all the things in place, not to be reactive each and every year. I mean, this almost like clockwork. This time last year it was the same problem, and we take pity obviously on the people who've been affected and so on, because they are one of us. We are all Sri Lankans and so on, and it's a great pity that the public officials are not doing what they ought to be doing, and that is the bottom line. Would you agree that is the bottom line?
I totally agree, because now government officials run here and there after the disaster occurs, but they are not taking cognizance what are the measures that should have been taken in order to mitigate or prevent such disasters.
Mr. Dabri, thank you very much for being in the hot seat and for being so open, and we hope to see you on one of our other programs on our network.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you. And that's it from the hot seat this week. We'll see you again in a fortnight's time. Take care, good night, and God bless.